Hello, everybody. Welcome along to the Rangers Rabble podcast. This is your pre-match build-up for St Johnstone's visit to Ibrox tonight to take on the League Cup champions Rangers. Plenty to discuss. Maybe a few more changes, I think, than a lot of people were maybe expecting. We'll get into that. We'll get into the team lineup. We'll obviously look ahead to tonight's game, and we'll maybe discuss. As Ian said before we started, how we're going to pay Craig LeVine all his money. We might jump into that wee discussion as well. But of course, it is the match build-up that we do before every game. And of course, if this is your first time here, then consider subscribing to the channel on YouTube. Give us a follow on Twitter, a follow on Facebook, and of course on YouTube as well. Give a like. Give it a share. All links for such are in the description. I am joined tonight by somebody who I've just found out is far more intelligent than anybody else on the Rangers Rabble. Richie, how are you?
I don't start with that again. Yeah, I'm all good. Yeah. And the reason you found that out is because it was my last day in work today for Christmas. So I'm in a very good mood and yeah, looking forward to the game. Although I'm a little bit more anxious about it than I was having seen the lineup, but I'm sure we'll get into all that.
It's not every day you get to talk to a rocket scientist. So yeah, fair play. And Ian, who is fastly becoming one of my most favourite people in the world. Ian, how are you?
I am very well, and I knew when you said most intelligent person on the pod that you wasn't talking about me. Now that you've even met me in person, you probably even more so. I am good. Still refreshing from the weekend, shall we say? It was a bit of an epic weekend, but thoroughly enjoyable.
Yes, and can we say cup final haircut, Martin? No, it was my once a year haircut, James. To be brutally honest with you, it was just becoming annoying, and I had to get it cut. So there we go. Before we get into the game, because there's plenty to discuss, Richie in that team lineup, and about keeping the confidence going and keeping the performances up, which is an absolute must, obviously, over this Christmas period. Shall we have a quick chat about Craig LeVine, somebody who I've always found is actually quite a decent wind-up merchant, to be honest. And his comments, now, I'll be honest, I had a quick look and I didn't read much into this. But the gist that I'm getting from Craig LeVine is that the Scottish League would be so much better without Rangers and Celtic, as long as we keep giving them money.
Yeah, I know that seems to be the strapline, and yeah, I can't possibly think of the flaw in his argument there. No, it's just it's crazy talk. You're looking at the main draw, the reason that the money's predominantly, well, what money is pumped into the league gets there is the games between the two of us and the other competitions. I don't want to. I'm always conscious of like sounding arrogant and not wanting to sort of be disrespectful to the other clubs in the SPFL. But
let's be real, Richie, as you want.
Well, yeah, the reality is that there's nobody else that's particularly interested. I mean, where I live, nobody could give two shits about Scottish football outside of Rangers and Celtic, and even at that, the knowledge is pretty limited. So there'd be no money whatsoever. It reeks of kind of wanting to have your cake and eat it. It's almost like I don't know where to start with it. It's like you'd have to think it was some kind of wind up or a joke, but he did seem to be suggesting these things with a straight face. So I don't know. Maybe he's completely lost the plot. If he could find a way for that to happen, like I'm sure that actually all the clubs would be more successful. So in a sense, you could argue that he's right in what he's saying, but there's no world where that would possibly occur, is there? So yeah, absolute nonsense. And I think he must have been on the wind up.
I know, but to be fair, Richie, you do also live in a city where they walk hand in hand to a derby match, and that's against each other. So their thoughts and feelings on the Scottish League, I would take with a pinch of salt. as they probably swap scarves and go to the game with each other.
Absolutely. Yeah.
A lot of people, but hey, what can I say? Ian, David Barr didn't think my partner was at all interested in football. Then she just piped up, "What time is the Rabble preview show on?" I think that's all because of you, Ian.
I'm not going to take anything for that. But that said, Batch has already been in the comments.
Yes, we're going to get to that.
I bumped into him on Saturday when I arrived in Glasgow at the shop. Not a bath in sight. And also, I met a guy in Edmonston House, not New Edmonston House, because we're not allowed to call it that, because New Edmonston House apparently means Sevco. So I met a guy called Brian at Edmonston House who bigged up the pod as well, said he loved it. Not any of our Brians, said he loved it, said that we speak the truth, and we say it as it is, and he just loves it.
We speak the truth to power. That's what we do.
Yes. I mean, I'd imagine at that point he had a few drinks, had most of the people at Edmonston House, particularly one guy who couldn't walk one pace forward without swaying like a tree in the wind. But that was fun.
That's just called a good night out. But back to LeVine's comments, Ian,
Yes.
and Alan makes the point: you can't sell the Scottish product without Rangers and Celtic, so not a chance. It would be more of a farmers' league. It'd be more and no offence to any of our Welsh or Irish brothers, but it would be like the Welsh and Irish league.
It would quickly turn into that without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, you get a couple of seasons where you've got a good challenge going on because we're not there. It's bound to happen. But then the interest wanes because we're not there, us and them. And so it would literally turn into the League of Ireland at some point. And it wouldn't. Sky wouldn't renew without us being there anyway. And it's the old argument. It comes up every now and again. It's never going to happen. Because the big boys down south wouldn't want us down there either because, and I can't believe I'm going to agree with this in particular person who I heard on Talk Sport, but Stan Collymore, of all people, said that the big boys don't want us down there because they know within a decade we'd be up there fighting for the European places that they covet so much. So I need to go and wash my mouth out a little bit now for saying his name, but
I think that would have been the case, Ian, before countries started buying teams in the English League. To be brutally honest with you,
but then if we were in that English league, that could happen to us. So,
well, I mean, it could, but we're running out of countries to buy football clubs that have got the kind of money that all the other countries have got. But anyway, that is a discussion for another day. Can I just say, Obi-Wan, thank you so much for the super chat. However, if I bring that up, I will get a strike from YouTube because there is a few of the obsessed who watch this show and it will be reported. So unfortunately, I cannot bring your super chat up, but thank you so much. And if you're in the comments, you will be able to see it. And of course, that aforementioned channel legend that is John Batchelor, who I'm gutted I wasn't away because I'd like to have had a wee chat with myself again with another super chat. As always, thank you so much, John. Right, Ian, tonight's game. It's a big game in terms of this is one of our games in hand. I'll bring up the team in a wee second, but one of our games in hand. We have not shown in the past that we were ready to take advantage of them dropping points, albeit this is a completely different situation because it's off the back of a cup win. I think we're the only ones playing tonight. I think I should probably know. We're not. All right, there's other people playing. All right. I probably should know that, but I'm not part of the Scottish Football Show. However, there's been a bit of time since they dropped the points, so maybe not the same amount of pressure, and it's not an away game. It's a game that we are 99.999% of the time supposed to win and expect to win. So, what's your thoughts?
I'm very much. I had this conversation earlier on. I said that as good as Sunday was and as great as Thursday was as well, because not forget we're coming off the back of that and the cup win, that it's back down to business. What's happened. We can't live off that. So this team has had issues with winning 55. Yeah, but we won 55. Yeah, so what have you done for me lately? Now you've won a cup. So you've won that. Put it to the back burner now because, as Clement said to McCausland and King after the game, if you watch the away days thing, he says, he turns to them and says, this is the first, it's not the last. So we've got to have that mentality going forward. This is a massive chance to put even more pressure on those across the road. We've got to take it. It's not going to be easy because St Johnstone are, well, you can come back later, David, if that's the case, and you can have your words then. But right now, I'm with him. LeVine teams are always dogged. They always fight. It's not going to be the most aesthetically pleasing game again. It may be one of those we have to work for a long period of time before we break through, but I think we will break through. I'm not going to give a prediction just yet because that's for later. But I think it's going to be a tough night, but I'm not overly concerned, and I don't hold Richie's nerves of seeing the team and being more nervous than I was.
Well, what I'm seeing now is that I'm going to try and have to order a coffee because I forgot to have my pre-match coffee, and that is essential. So when I put this point to Richie, I'm just going to give the old "Can you make me a coffee?" Sign to the missus and hope that she makes me the coffee. First of all, Batch, back in again, another super chat. Batch, get your comment in when you do that. It'd be great to hear your thoughts as well, and your comments. So get them in, Batch, and as always, thank you so much for supporting the show. A lot of changes made, Rich. In fact, do you know what? I keep teasing it, right? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to read out the team. It's Butland in goal, back four of James Tavernier, Connor Goldson, John Suter, and Red Van Yilmaz. And then it's a mid. I think it's either a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3. We're going to go with 4-3-3 for the moment, and it's a midfield three of Lundstrom, Dowell, and Lammers, with a front three of McCausland, Seema, and Roof comes back in and starts. So, Richie, a lot of changes. Look, we've got a lot of games. Rotation was needed, but a lot of changes.
Yeah, and you know, I'm not kind of, well, when I say I'm maybe anxious is the wrong word. Obviously, we should be beating St Johnstone at Ibrox, and if you look at the games that we've got in the next sort of, we're going Wednesday, Sunday. This is probably the obvious one for rotation. I've just still got, even though we're on the crest of a wave, I can't forget about how much some of these players have just shit it on a regular basis. So I have that kind of feeling that, you know, there might be an after the Lord Mayor's show kind of thing, but that's just me. I'm sure there won't be. And it's one of those things where if we get a result and he's been able to make 4 or 5 changes, then it's a masterclass and it's perfect management and squad rotation. And if we don't, then it's an absolute disaster. And what was he thinking of making so many changes? I'm not surprised by. I thought Balogun would come out for either Davis or Suter. That's fine. And like Ridvan or Barisic, you know, I'm not too surprised by that. I thought Sterling might play with Lundstrom again. I don't think anybody could have predicted that Dowell would have come straight back in. But you know, fair play. I like. I do think there's something of a player in there. We just need to see it a little bit more, and he needs to be fit for enough time for us to actually see it, which is true of a lot of players. Lammers, I don't think anybody particularly wants to see Lammers in the 10 role. I thought of all the changes that he's made, I thought it might be an opportunity to give McCausland a rest and maybe play Scott Wright on the right. But yeah, and maybe even I know Seema's the flavour of the month quite rightly, but it might have been a chance to play Matondo, but I'm sure he'll get some minutes on the left there. And yeah, I mean, Roof is like objectively better than Dessers, so that's not a controversial change. It's just how many minutes we can get out of him and whether he's breaks down a game. But you know, I think like we'd probably all rather see Roof up top than Dessers. So yeah, even as I talk through them there, it doesn't sound too bad, but it's all on the result, isn't it? And we'll see. I'm sure there'll be some rotation in the game as well. And yeah, it gives the likes of Lammers another chance for redemption, and we might see one of those Dundee-esque edge of the box goals, who knows? But even that wouldn't convince me at this stage. So yeah, it's good to rotate, and let's just hope we get the job done and move on to Sunday as is the festive period.
Ian, mate, I've got nothing left for you. Richie's just answered every single question. So what are you doing tomorrow, Ian?
Some big Christmas shopping, first day of school holidays down here.
Our schools don't finish until Friday.
You up there, I'm down here, we're down here in Clement country, so yeah, we're finished.
You got all your Christmas shopping?
Yeah, pretty much, near enough. I mean, I've had to send mine via the Santa's Mate Amazon to get it down the road.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll
get another cup of tea. By the time we get that coffee, the game will be on. It'll be fine.
I know. She's not moved.
I had in my mind that you were making a coffee, so I was trying to sort of like spread it out.
But in all seriousness, Ian, we'll just look at the defence. We'll come to Dowell in a wee second. But obviously 2 changes to that defence in terms of Balogun out and Barisic out, Suter in and Ridvan in. Suter obviously again been struggling with injury, and Ridvan, who's having to deal with the emotional effects of being bunny hopped by Balogun.
Maybe that's why Balogun's out and Ridvan's in. Clement's going right, you off and you in. Maybe he's felt sorry for him. Oh dear, that would. I mean, did you see the view from the front when he did that? Because there was 2 going about as well. The air the man got was unreal. That was so funny. But I mean, is it? So Davies then is obviously the European centre back pairing now. That's obviously what that's about. And between Balogun and Suter, they're going to fill in that spot between Goldson. So maybe Balogun needs a bit of a rest. He doesn't look like a type of guy who needs a rest, but Clement knows more than we do. So just have faith in the process with that one. And maybe the Clement fell for the Photoshop picture of Barisic waving a flag at the weekend. So he's taken him out of the team for a bit, although he apologises for nothing, apparently. But that, so that's the sort of those 2 changes those the ones you would probably have expected out of all the ones that were made tonight. It would have been those 2 would have been the expected ones. Maybe it's just a little bit more that we're not going to be slinging balls into the box, so Borner's not really required so much. Maybe he wants to be more direct and have Yilmaz just run at them. And Suter, not his ideal position, but a very capable centre back in that position. Just hope he doesn't get caught under the flight of the ball, which he does tend to do when he's in that left centre back position. Those were the 2 I would have probably expected to see tonight. It's the other ones that threw me off.
I mean, Mike was making the point we're on a training schedule. If a lot of players injured, rotation had to happen. I don't expect us to be particularly fluid just to get over the line. And Richie, that's the point. We'll come back to the squad in a wee second. But with all the changes that's been made, I think a lot of us are maybe expecting this Rangers team to kick, and including myself, expecting this Rangers team to now kick on, gain some confidence, start playing a lot better and being a lot more fluid. But that's really difficult when you have them, and it's not just us; it's everybody else in the league. And I get that, but we just focus on us. But having that fluidity and the performances that we want to see, it's difficult when you make that many changes.
Yeah, no, it is, and we might
especially and trust me, I've just got into January on Football Manager. I know how difficult it is.
Yeah, it is, and we might see some individual moments of brilliance from some, hopefully, but yeah, there's likely to be parts of the game lacking in fluidity, of course. But it's like the comment says, it's the nature of the schedule. You can't. I've seen the usual kind of stuff on social media from some people around, like, why can't players play every 3 days? I go to work every day, kind of thing. But it's not, that's not. That's quite an outdated view. That there's going to need to be rest periods. Well, we're assuming that.
I'll tell you what, let's open that debate right now, because I agree with Simon Jordan, by the way, and I don't often find myself agreeing with Simon Jordan. But players are far too pampered now. See this? Players can play 2 or 3 games a week. Maybe not at their absolute ultimate highest level. You just don't train as much. You can play more football. See this. Oh, we need rest. Oh, we're tired. Oh, blah blah blah. And most of obviously the players down south, they're getting 300 grand a week. I'd play 7 days a week.
Yeah. Obviously they can play, but isn't it about them playing at their optimal level? Like anybody could play. Like I could play every day, but it's like
I earn in a month. I earn in a year, sorry, but one of them earns in a month probably in the Scottish game, not in the English game, because otherwise that would be really nice. I'm expected to go to my work every day and do the best I can. Just go and do the best you can. I don't even know why we're into this debate. I've just went totally rogue and off topic here.
Because I didn't realise you.
Yeah, Joe Rebo did. Yeah. You can. Football players can play more than what they're saying nowadays that they can play. So rotation is needed. I get that to be your optimum performance, right? But who plays it? What players play without niggles? It's nonsense. Very few players play at their optimum level. Nonsense.
Yeah, but surely we want the medical staff to get them as close to that as possible. Anyway,
I want to go on a date with Pamela Anderson in 1995, but that was never going to happen.
Well, yeah.
We can have our wishes.
Okay. I don't know how we got onto that, but we'll have to disagree on that one. What was I saying?
Disagree on Pamela Anderson in 1995? What? Are you joking?
That was always Monica Leggett.
Well, I don't know. How old were you in 95? I was only 8.
I was 7, 6, 7. But that's not the point.
What?
Shut up, both of you.
Rotation either is or isn't necessary, and we'll see how we get on tonight.
All I can think now is Pamela Anderson and Baywatch. That's the only thing that's going through my head. Richie, I'll stay with you now. In that midfield three, John Lundstrom stays in the team, which is the one player I did not expect to be rotated. I expected him to be in the team, whether it was Alloa or Celtic or St Johnstone or whoever. I expect John Lundstrom, as long as he is fit, to be in that team because he's been a rock.
Yeah, he'll be in every single team as long as he's playing as he has been in the last few weeks. I mean, it's crazy to think, towards the kind of middle to back end of Beale's. Well, I'll call it a reign, but I'm not quite sure what it was. But yeah, he was one of the sort of most frustrating figures, getting caught out late into challenges, looked off the pace, wasn't getting forward, wasn't supporting the defense either. He just looks like a different animal now, playing with a lot of confidence, and it just goes to show the impact of a decent coach with seemingly clearer instructions, who's able to light up a fire under some of these characters. And it looks like we've got the Europa League Lundstrom back, and if we do, then he'll form the basis of any side. And it's a position where we've had a few casualties as well, some injured, some suspended, and it's almost it's one of the areas that I'm least concerned about, which is quite surprising. I would have thought if you took what was when we were playing 4-3-3, if you take what was our sort of 3 at the start of the season, you've got 2 of those missing. But he's just, it's testament to the form that he's in at the moment. And long may it continue, because we know that he can be a powerhouse in Europe as well. And just whatever Clement's managed to put across to him or say to him is clearly working tenfold. And I'm absolutely delighted with it, to be honest.
I'm getting so many Pamela Anderson comments in the comments, man. Come on. If you were alive back in the day and you watched Baywatch, you would understand. I'm not talking about anything else that may have been released on video. I'm talking about Baywatch. Absolutely. Ian, probably the biggest surprise, I think, it's not Lammers. I don't think Lammers is a surprise anymore. Kieran Dowell brought back into the squad. I think it's a surprise for a few reasons. One, I think, we all thought that he had disappeared. maybe went to a private island with Pamela Anderson. I don't know. It could have been that. He could have been back down south. I don't know. We thought he was gone. And secondly, I feel a little bit sorry for Dujon Sterling. He hasn't played a lot, so therefore I don't feel as if he necessarily needs the rotation that Richie says our players desperately need because they're poor wee souls. But aye, Dowell back in, Sterling out.
Yeah, it was a man of the match performance Sunday, and quite other than Balogun, quite rightly. A lot of people were actually giving him man of the match Thursday as well, when he only played half the game. So it's a bit of a surprise that he's come out. But again, he's a returning player from injury. So is that part of the mindset? Right, you've played 2, you've just returned from injury. Let's have a bit of a rest today. We'll bring you on. If we get a couple of goals up, we can bring you on for maybe Dowell, maybe even give him a rest. Who knows? So it might just be good management from our man Philippe Clement, the man I swore I wouldn't fall in love with too quickly, but it's all gone now. It's over. I will not hear a bad word about him now for months. But Dowell coming in, if these players are going and he's earmarked, if he's supposedly, the rumor is he's earmarked to be the first one out in January, no one's going to come for him if he sat in the stands on the bench not doing anything. He needs to show what he's about. So
yeah, but if Rangers and Clement don't think he's good enough, Ian, we need to win these games, and I wouldn't want us to be playing players that we don't feel are good enough to get his results.
And as I said before we came on, there's a lot of changes, and it can be a little bit worrying. But we're at home versus St Johnstone. We should have enough here to see them off. Only time will tell, obviously. Got 90 minutes to figure that out. But he's not a bad player, Dowell. He's not a bad player at all. Obviously, I've got a bit more info on him as he was here last season playing. The big thing was if you can keep him fit. So how many times we heard that? But and as Mark has said a few times, that what we've heard is that he is technically better than Cantwell. So there's obviously a player there. And again, it's the training thing. Clement sees things in training. So he's obviously seen something. So he's in. I'm confident he'll do the job in that midfield. Where he's playing, I'd like that to be interesting, because he could play that 10 row instead of Cantwell as well. But with Lammers there, I'm assuming that he's partnering Lundstrom as the 2 centre mids. So that'll be an interesting thing to see.
That is the question, actually, Rich, is how's that midfield shaping up tonight? But first, before we come to that, I've got to ask you: A, will we see Santa at Ibrox tonight? Possibly showing off the League Cup. And B, will he get booed?
A, I desperately hope so. I'd absolutely love if that was the tifo. And B, absolutely not. It's the time for festive cheer and goodwill to all men. What kind of animal would boo Father Christmas?
Probably Scott Kerr. To be honest. But Richie, on to Dowell and the position he's going to play tonight, the kind of player that he is, what he brings to this Rangers team, because a lot of us don't actually know what he brings, and where does he slot into this team tonight?
Yeah, well, I'd when I first looked at the lineup, I'd automatically assumed we were playing a 4-2-3-1 just because it's what we've been used to seeing. But when you mentioned 4-3-3 there, it did get me thinking. I think it probably is still a 4-2-3-1 with Dowell alongside Lundstrom. I think Dowell's more likely to play there than anybody else. But if he's playing it, so you're right. We haven't seen enough of him to know exactly what his best position is. I think he looks to be fairly comfortable in that Lawrence type role. He can pick up the ball and distribute it about easily enough. But we have seen him pop up in more forward positions as well. So I don't know. I think I'm going to say 4-2-3-1, Dowell alongside Lundstrom, and then the 3 behind Roof's obvious. But it might well be that we're with the ball, we're into a 4-3-3. Yeah, we'll soon find out. But one thing I do know is that he needs to start showing something, and this is the perfect opportunity for him to do so while we've got so many casualties and he's seemingly back fit again.
Ian.
Yes.
I was just looking at you going, he can't get off mute. He cannot get off mute. I'm going to say a name. As you could probably hear my chair squeaking like mad in the background there. I'm going to say a name and I want you just to run with it. Right? Sam Lammers.
Oh, okay. I've watched the game from Thursday back a bit. He did okay. I did say he was a little bit useless on Thursday. But it turns out he actually wasn't. He did more than I actually gave him credit for. But when he came on Sunday, it's like we'd lost. The coffee's in the building, folks. The coffee's in the building. That's it. Game's won. We've done it. We don't even need to watch. But we see once he took Cantwell, brought Lammers on, we then looked like we were playing that man down. I don't know what he brings. Yeah, he's had one sensational strike against Dundee. And still, no one can convince me that he didn't trip over a shoelace and the ball just happened to hit his foot. It's a massive surprise for me that he's actually playing. But it shouldn't be because Clement obviously sees something, like I keep saying. He's obviously doing something in training because that's why he's still there. I want him to prove me wrong. I want him to ram these words back down my throat. So when I come back on the post match, well, of course it is. Look who's here. So hopefully he rams those words down my throat for the post match, and we've given him man of the match, and he scored a hat trick and that sort of stuff. But I don't see what the man brings, and I think there's others in that team who deserve the start over him. But then again, that's why I don't get paid the big bucks at Ibrox.
No, and as Curry's saying, Richie, this is his last chance for me. Is it? Yeah. Is it his last chance? Really, though, we've gave other players a long time to settle in. I hate writing Rangers players off, and I've done it in the past, and I'm being hypocritical, I know. But is it his last chance for you?
No. I mean, it's probably gone. I mean, if you're talking about whether chance for what, to prove that he's going to have a successful Rangers career, well, that's gone already for me. But that's not to say that I don't want him to be successful. I just haven't seen enough to suggest that he's going to cut it in that role. And I think it's inevitable that if we're able to find somebody that would be willing to take him, that he's not going to have a long or even medium term career with us, and he's been used, fairly sparingly as well. But it's a difficult time because we don't know until Clement has a window, maybe 2 windows, maybe even 3 in some cases. We don't know exactly who he really likes and who he's not sure about. We can speculate based on his lineups. We don't, as Paul said there, we don't get to see what he's seeing every day of the week, and we're not privy to the
sorry, Richie, Clement seems to like him. He always brings him up in interviews and says about how well he's either trained or how the good things that he's done in the pitch. I don't know if that's Clement just trying to take a wee bit of heat off him or whatever, but I think Clement likes him.
Yeah, possibly, but he's hardly first name on the team sheet, is he? I think that's fair to say. So if he does really like him, then he's not sort of showing us that with some of his selections when he's being available. But I guess he's in a position where he has to give some of these players a chance. He talked when he came in about he'd watched the footage from all of our games on his flight over, so he's obviously seen some of the performance that he's put in since he's been here. But he has to, he can't. I mean, I suppose your old school approach of he could just take a starting 11 and just flog them and fuck everyone else. He can't do that. So he's got to give players a chance to
Richie, your language, I can't hear you swearing. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's terrible. That, yeah, yeah.
Right, shall we hear for the manager?
Please, yeah.
Shall we? Let's do that. Obviously, Clement speaking to Rangers TV ahead of tonight's game.
Philippe, it has been a big week for your squad. How have preparations been in the build-up to this game tonight?
Yes, it's been a great week. The guys enjoyed also after the game, so that was necessary also after all these weeks with hard work and tension and everything. And yesterday everybody stepped in a good way in the building. Monday we had also recovery training. Yesterday was good training. Everybody was focused, but of course we have a long series of games, so we need to make a rotation in the squad also with a tight schedule that's coming the next weeks.
On your team news tonight, Kieran Dowell comes in for his first start since you joined as manager. What are you hoping he can bring this evening?
Kieran is somebody who's been working really hard all this time. There's a lot of competition in his best positions. He's going to play a little bit lower, a little bit the role that Tom Lawrence took against St Mirren. And he's somebody with good technical qualities who can be good on the ball, good passing play, and that's what I expect from him, and of course winning the duels.
How important was that today, given the schedule, to give the squad a bit of freshness there too?
Yeah, it's necessary. If you always play with the same 11 or 14 with 12 games in 37 days, you kill the players. They are not ready for that. They're also not trained for that. That's something for the future to work on, to make them stronger in that way. So it's every game looking to get some fresh players in, to get some fresh legs in, and for others that they can recover good and then be ready for a next series of games. So it's always taking everything in account. And all the players are pushing, so a few players get now the chance to show it in the spotlights, what they've been doing really well in training last couple of weeks.
And just finally, a word on St Johnstone and the game tonight. What are you expecting from the match?
Yeah, a physical team also with 5 defenders again, low block, transitions, set plays, the usual things. And they did a really good job also against Celtic. They went in front. It's a team that's hard to break, so we hope to break the wall fast. Then you get more space. The longer it takes, the more difficult it is, but we want to keep our tempo high, so they break physically the second half, so we can make the difference there also.
Right, we need to do this really quickly because the game kicks off in like 6 minutes, so we need to get through like 3 or 4 subjects really quickly. Firstly, Ian, I think he's got to just forget about this low block, 5 defenders, 10 defenders talk, because it's going to be like that every game at Ibrox.
Yeah, but what he did say is we need to beat it quickly. So the quicker he beats it, we go 1-0 up, then they've got to start coming out, because eventually they're going to need to get something from it, so they need to come out. So the quicker we beat it, the better.
Yeah, and Richie, quickly on Ross McCausland as well. I mean, the manager can't. No manager at Rangers can win because he makes changes and he goes, he made too many changes, and then in the next breath, I'm about to ask you, should one of those changes have been Ross because he looked a wee bit tired?
Yeah, it was one that I'd identified at the start as a potential change, and an opportunity to give Wright or Matondo on his less favoured side a few minutes. But I'm sure he won't be, if we do get into a comfortable position, or when we get into a comfortable position, hopefully he'll be off, and I'm sure Wright will be on to play a good chunk of the second half.
And can I just point out that Clement did say yes that the players can't play that amount of games in that many days because they're not ready to do that yet. Which again, I think he's having a wee dig at the fitness of the players and the condition that the players were in. Excuse me. Ian, Kemar Roof comes into the team. He starts up front. I'm delighted to see him start, and I'm hoping that he can stay fit for at least 15 minutes tonight, because he is the best striker at the club.
Yeah, pound for pound, still the best striker at the club, and he's proved that he's come back in, scored a very important goal Thursday night. So hopefully his confidence at the moment is through the roof. Much happier with him starting up front than Dessers. I know he scored a great goal on Thursday night as well, but passed up a couple of chances on Sunday, which I thought he should have done better with. But yeah, glad to see Roof in there, and hopefully he can get one tonight.
And Paul's asking, Martin, who is on the bench? And my answer to that would be, I can't remember. So if you give me a second. On the bench, we've got McCrory, as always, Dessers, Cantwell, Matondo, Sterling, Wright, Balogun, Barisic, and King. So a strong bench, Richie.
Yeah, a strong bench and plenty of opportunities for further rotation should or when we get into a commanding position, and I'm sure we will see plenty of changes tonight and minutes being managed even further. But it's good to see. It's good to see that we're starting to get a few options back again, with plenty more to come as well. Things are looking good.
Looking good, and as we've just heard for the manager as well, we'll be playing deeper. So it looks as if it's going to be a 4-3-3, possibly. Or it could be a 4-2-3-1 with Lammers, I suppose, playing that. I don't know. It could be anything, folks. Let's just wait and see. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We could have went on for another 20 minutes because there was so much more to get through, but we will be back for reaction shortly after the game. If you are subscribed on YouTube with your notifications, and we're going to do predictions in 2 seconds, folks, by the way, but if you're subscribed on YouTube with your notifications turned on, you will know exactly when the reaction is going to start, because as you can imagine, we can't exactly set down a time, especially with VAR now. So make sure you get a notification switched on. Make sure you like and subscribe and check out our sponsors, NordVPN. There's a link in the description in case you need to fly off anywhere to watch the football at short notice. There's a link in the description that will get you a very, very good deal. And of course, if you click on that link, you help support the podcast. And like and subscribe and follow and all that good stuff. You know what to do to help the podcast out. Right, Richie, prediction for tonight, quickly.
Right, any win will do. I'm only interested in 3 points, but I'll say 2-0, Seema first scorer.
And I think you just took Ian's scoreline off him, but Ian, prediction?
It was 2, now it's 3. 3-0, and McCausland first goal.
Richie's just been ripping it out you all podcasting. He took all your points off you. He's now took your score off. I think what Alan says in the comments is absolutely right, Rangers. Just win. There we go. So everybody, go watch the game, enjoy it. I've done all the sponsorship stuff, so you know all that. And join us for reaction after a positive result and a positive performance. Speak to you soon.